Earth is strong, yet fragile. It lives and dies every single day. By now we know that it won't be able to sustain humanity forever, and so we look to the sky, to the uncertain, the unexplored.
There may be other planets out there, but for us, within the solar system, Mars is by far the most impressive and most important for us, yes. There is a basic question, where we are from, where we're going to. Are we the only one in the, not only solar system, but in the universe? And to get an answer, we need an answer to the question, is it possible that biologic life developed somewhere else, not only on Earth? And the only planet which may give us an answer is Mars.
What we are doing here is testing workflows, technologies, science for future missions to Mars or other planets.
Our fascination is fed by our fantasy. And what seems alien at first is more familiar than we might have thought.
We know about 3.5 billion years ago, Mars had a lot of water. Actually, it had oceans, and it had the right temperature. So the water and the temperature both together may be the case for biological development on Mars. So we need to go there, have a look at the DNA there for microbiological life. Have a look at the DNA and whether this DNA is totally different than from Earth. And if this is a case, then this is the evidence that biological life may develop anywhere in our universe.
What if we were there already?
Hello! I'm still with my PCR test, just so you know. You're born.
Hi, I got mine like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, really?
Wow. Cool. Das ist schon ganz großes Kino. Can you see the spot where the habitat is from here? Just for this, it was worth it coming here. Yeah. When we went out of the gangway, or like the tunnel that connects the plane to the airport, we were like, can you imagine, now it feels like landing on Mars, and in 200 years from now people are going to actually land on Mars like that. They're going to get off the shuttle or whatever spaceport. When you get through this bridge and then see the view for the first time, it's really amazing, mind-blowing. It's really cool, and you can imagine it being Mars, kind of. And then when you drive down and just so vast and wild, it's really cool. And I'm really looking forward to staying here at night when it's quiet and the stars come out. And the habitat looks bigger than I imagined, to be honest. But I think once we go inside, it's still pretty small for staying there for 4 weeks. Yeah, and I'm really excited to see it from the inside now. So.
Habitat is a general term for, from biology, it's a general term for ecosystem that provide on an organism everything it needs. So it's not only that he will need to survive, but also to flourish, to have some kind of a community or to have some kind of a growth mechanism. The dimension of it is 9 meters in diameter, which could fit perfectly into a space shuttle that will go to Mars. The most crucial element you need to think about is how much this unit weighs, how much volume it takes from the space vehicle, and how you can deploy it afterwards. So we need to have some kind of a rigid structure that lands at the beginning. It could be either either a habitat, a standalone habitat, or either the spacecraft itself. This could be the rigid structure for half a year at the beginning, and then it has to have some kind of capabilities to expand, to deploy.
So the effort is that when we put people or astronauts on Mars, they need to survive needing oxygen and fuel because they need to come back. But Mars doesn't have fuel and oxygen, it just has CO2. So what we need to do is to bring first, years before they're going there, some kind of technology to provide oxygen and fuel from the regolith, which is what we have there. This takes a couple of years. We just need the energy, the solar energy, to make fuel and oxygen from, and then after a couple of years, then people, astronauts may go there and live from what's have been generated on Mars.
So I'd like to take you on a tour through our habitat, starting here in the donning area. So this is where we put on the suits if we go on EVA. You can see the 2 suits here in the back, and this is all the other equipment that belongs to the suits. And then we go out here if the whole suit is done. We go out here through the airlock. This is our gate to the outside world. So the donning area is part of our lab. So if we move to this side, you see here Alon, who's busy setting up the micropotential experiment in our biohood. Here Inigo is busy with the AMADEE experiment. That's a drone experiment that we will try to fly tomorrow. And then, well, I'm careful not stepping on the drone. We here have our ops consoles, so ops and psyops. So when we go out on EVA, there are 2 people here that are in constant contact with the suits, but also via chat, text messages to the Mission Support Center in Innsbruck.
AMADEE-20 has been 4 years now in the making. This is our 13th expedition actually. We have more than 20 research experiments selected that are carefully crafted. They range from robotics, we have flying helicopters, drones, we have also geoscientific experiments, and we have human factor experiments. So we're looking into the full complement of the needs of what you need to understand before you can make a sufficiently safe and productive and efficient mission on Mars. So we are not only looking into what the rock composition would be, but also what type of materials we need. How does the microbiome develop in the human body? How does the psychology develop under pressure and under these really tough situations here?
We move from the lab area to the living quarters of our habitat. So we've made ourselves comfortable with, we've constructed some couches from mattresses. Here is Robert making himself comfortable while he fills out a questionnaire after the EVA this morning. Behind me you see the kitchen. We've just done the dishes, as you can see. We do the cooking over here. MSG, basically a daily questionnaire for the morning, afternoon and evening that we fill out, and we also wear tags, Bluetooth tags that track our motion here through the habitat. This is where we dine. Here's our table. We have dinner here, lunch and breakfast. And we have 2 sleeping pods of Annika and Alan. And moving on to the other side, we have 4 more sleeping pods. I sleep here at on the bottom right, and we have our own closets. And then in the very back, we have 2 toilets and 1 shower. As you can see. And of course a refrigerator to keep our food fresh, and an oven. And here's our food storage. So as you can see, mostly food that can be kept good for a long time, because that will also be the case if we go on an actual mission to Mars.
I think there might not be one big achievement, but I think all the small achievements are the important things. So all the issues that we find in the equipment, and in the end, I usually say to my team as well that we're here for things to fail. We want things to fail. We want to find the issues with the equipment, with the procedures. What are we doing wrong that we want to correct here on Earth before we go to Mars? So I think those are maybe the small lessons learned, but really what we want to take out of this mission and to build towards Mars. And there might not be one big discovery, one we found life on Mars kind of discovery, but all these small things will add up, and these are all contributing to that future that we foresee of the first people walking on Mars.
7, 6, 5, 4. Engine ignition. 2, 1, 0. Release. And liftoff. As the countdown to Mars continues, the perseverance of humanity launching the next generation of robotic explorers to the Red Planet.
The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration in the velocity. Our current velocity is 480 meters per second at an altitude of about 12 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Heat shield set.
Perseverance is now slowed to subsonic speeds, and the heat shield has been separated. We have completed our terrain relative navigation. Current speed is about 30 meters per second, altitude of about 300 meters off the surface of Mars. We have started our constant velocity accordion, which means we are conducting the sky crane, about to conduct the sky crane maneuver. Sky crane maneuver has started, about 20 meters off the surface.
Tango Delta.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the signs of past life.
You cannot go there and just do it. You need to have some experience where that works. So you have to go here on Earth on the same places, same means which have the same environment than on Mars, and just try it out to see can we survive from any kind of other humans in a separate place. And the answer usually is no.
The main task is we are part of the so-called exploration cascade. That means that you have several vehicles. You have a satellite, then you have the flying, the drone, and then we are doing in situ on the ground. And what we will doing is we'll get map data, or we get aerial imaging from another project which is called AeroScan. So they will fly in the crater, they will have an overview, then we will process this data together with our geodesy team and find out, okay, what are parts where we can drive and where are parts we cannot drive. So that means about, okay, are there steep ridges, are there larger rocks, or is there a dry riverbed where we can go into. And once we have this, we load it on the rover, and then the rover can go to the places where we find out that he can go. And of course, we also get points of interest from the planning guys, so where we have to go, and that's basically our main task here.
Usually we send the robot autonomously to a specific goal, and he takes pictures and sensor data, collects them, then we can later analyze it and generate 2D and 3D maps.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome on day 3 of our mission. I'm currently setting up the MEROP experiment. That is an experiment in which we operate a rover that is outside the habitat with controls from within the habitat. So here, for example, I have a joystick, and with this I can move the rover forward and steer it. On this laptop screen, the rover has cameras, so I see in which direction I'm steering the rover. And additionally, we also have what we call haptic feedback devices. So for example, I have this glove, what we call a traction glove. So there are some electronics in here, and they vibrate. So for example, if the rover wheels are spinning, if it's losing traction, then it starts vibrating. So that gives me additional information about the surface on which the rover is driving. So it was hard to make the first right turn. I have to get a bit of a feeling for it. Moving upward to the habitat right now. I have to get it a bit closer because I can hardly see the bottom of the habitat. I'm coming in from the north side. I can see the 2 windows that we have above our ops console.
So Thomas, what was the best thing about the experiment you just did?
So the best thing was that I could see here from the camera that I was moving over rocky terrain and the actual rocks. I could also see like the camera going up and down, but I could like also feel it from this device. So it was actually moving along with the rover.
So as the role analog astronauts have in space exploration is to basically pave the way for future Mars missions. So if we want to know what it will be like to live on Mars, to survive on Mars, but to actually also do science on Mars, well, we have to experience that. And that is what we do here in an analog situation, so comparable to the situation on Mars.
So today is our first black day in isolation, and what we did is sleep in for a long time and catch up on some of the sleep that we lost over the last few weeks. And now we have a long leisurely breakfast, and then we'll see what else we do today, but it won't be much because all of us really need some rest. Nobody in here, everything resting and waiting, and it's really nice and quiet. And we can take a little tour here, and I can show you my lab area. I mean, it's not mine, of course, but as the microbiologist, I kind of feel like it's a little bit my area of expertise. So this is where we bring our soil samples that we collect, and then we have this biohood. That's a really cool thing where you can turn on, and then you can have UV light for sterilization, and turn on the light and the fan, and you can also open, and then it goes up like this, very high tech. that's really cool. Once you look out there, it really looks as if you are on Mars. And when people are on EVA or steering the quads or the rovers or drones, then you can watch it from in here and really feel like you're base and they're out there on the surface of the red planet.
The Maktesh Ramon has a lot of geological features that are similar to what we see on Mars. Actually, there are structures, if I can see them here now with my naked eye, where I know there are twins on the red planet. So from a geological point of view, it's like a small research Disneyland, because there's lots of interesting features that are pretty close together, so we don't have a lot of traverses to access them. Secondly, also to be honest, Israel is a very promising country when it comes to innovation culture. So there's a number of Israeli companies and organizations and research institutes involved here. We were really received in the most welcoming way you can imagine. And so this combination of those factors brought us here.
Israel was the 8th nation in the world to launch its own satellite, and we built also the launch vehicle back in 1988. By pure chance, I watched the launch with my own eyes from the sea at that day. So we are a spacefaring nation, and there are a lot of scientific research going on in Israel, a lot of cooperation and collaboration with other space agencies and academia. So it's only natural that such an event happening here in Israel, it's a space celebration.
You're very lucky to be able to do that. It's amazing for us. We are all for global partnerships and partnerships with other researchers and countries. We know that to be able to do good research, you have to have partnerships around the world. No innovation comes from one place. And having that hub of all that global space innovation in Israel, it's an honor and exciting, and we really love it.
It feels a bit strange. I actually have been here many times. I worked not far from here. I hiked this place. And for me, it's a kind of home feeling, but now I get to see it from a different angle. So it feels a bit like the habitat is taking us to a different place. Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited to, really get started into the isolation phase. I was happily surprised at the scenery, these rock formations, the different colors. It's exactly how I would, not just imagine Mars, but very similar to the pictures that come back. And once I'm actually in the suit, seeing it through the visor, I can easily picture myself being out there, being there in real life.
So we're in the process of, we are trying to extract DNA from those samples.
And why do you want to filter out the DNA?
Because we want to figure out what kind of life or bacteria is found in the samples that we extract, and more specifically, how we as people contaminate the area that we work in. So depending on what we find in these, we hopefully will learn more and help make sure that when life is detected, or when or if it's detected on Mars, it's not bacteria or life that we brought with us, but the one that was already there.
So once it turns dark outside, we switch off the lights in the lab area. You can see our glow-in-the-dark exit and the rovers parked out there, the quads I mean, and it's a little bit eerie in here. The suits are sleeping until next day's EVA, some computers still running, and of course we have our ops and psyops console that we keep on to see the chat and receive messages from Earth, and also our security camera with one live feed where we can watch for intruders, which will not be here because we have a checkpoint and it's dark outside on Mars. And unfortunately what you can't see is that the night sky is really beautiful here. You see so many stars and the Milky Way and shooting stars. That's really beautiful, far away from the city lights. So as you can see, at night everything turns even more quiet, and we turn in and have dinner now. Right now I'm kind of trying to scout the terrain a little bit because we are going on EVA. I'm not going tomorrow but the day after tomorrow, but some of us are going tomorrow. And we have to scout the places where the terrain gets too steep for the suit to walk there, and just get a feel for the area, and also of course get some quad bike practice, plus it's fun. You want to trade shower time against chocolate? I brought some chocolate. No, I'm not nervous because I'm not in the suit. I think the people going out, that's one of the most exhausting jobs that you can have in this mission. I'm suit tech, so that means I'm helping to suit up the astronauts that go on EVA. That includes a long checklist where we step by step make everything ready and, for example, prepare the water for them to drink on the way, and connect all the electronics, make sure that everything is ready and in shape.
I remember also from previous missions, once you're in the suit, once you are working in your experiment and you're fully absorbed in this task, you kind of forget where you are, and you might even be forgiven for mistaking yourself to be on Mars and with this beautiful environment. And that's why we test it here. It's really to simulate that environment, those conditions, the dust, the temperature, the hard conditions of the environment, and for our suits to really see where the breaking points are, what can go wrong, and then fix it, of course, before going to Mars.
So the MSC, the Mission Support Center, is there to support the crew on Mars. So we help with the experiments, we help them figure out if they have problems. We write also the flight plan for them, which the flight planning team does. And they really tell the crew on Mars what to do when. And this really helps them because then they don't need to think every day, okay, what would be best to do the next day. And we also adapt it to their needs. So if they tell us, we need a break, we need to fix something, then this is also something that we take into account, and the flight plan gets adjusted. So the largest challenge is that we simulate a mission between Mars and Earth, and there's a time delay. We simulate it with 10 minutes, it can be 4 minutes, it can be 22 minutes. One way we picked something in the middle and said 10 minutes, it's realistic. So every message that we send is 10 minutes time delayed until it arrives. And then if Mars responds, it's another 10 minutes. So if I ask, hello, how are you? 10 minutes, they write, I'm fine, thank you, how are you? 10 minutes, and 20 minutes later I get the answer from Mars that they are fine and ask me how I am.
With the mission control bezel, you have the 10 minutes time with the 3 triangles. You can put it on the minute, like say, for example, you put the first one you put on the minutes, and you see, okay, when the minute hand goes to, let's say, 4 past, you have like 10 minutes then.
Yeah. Apparently, you have a daily activity plan. So everything that you do all day long is really timed. You have to be synchronized with Earth. You have to be synchronized with all the activities. You have to know exactly when what is happening, because it is crucial, because you work together as a team. And for that, you have to be dependent on the team and be accurate with the time. And that's why I think that time is very, very important. And as well, like if you're out there, I mean, it's also a question of survival, right? If you know, like, oh, okay, it's been too long that we heard from them, they might have a problem, and then it's like, Innsbruck, we've got a problem. So.
What should be the distance?
2 meters. 2 meters. 2 meters. And that's actually picture 1, right?
Affirmative. Wait for picture 1 and 2 meters. Completed.
Copy. Picture 1 completed.
In Mars, we expect many surprises, like the one we're dealing with right now, with some Martian creature that resembles a mouse that has been taking some of our food.
And since food is precious, we have to take certain precautions. We named our little mouse Marvin and told him to stay out of our closet, but he didn't listen. And he also brought friends, because we saw 2 Marvins yesterday. And this morning, he ate our almond milk. So we closed all the holes we could find in here. And now we are like having a war against him. And let's see who wins in the end. And if I can, I will try to make a picture of Marvin as well. Marvin. Come out, wherever you are. So this is Marvin, our little mouse. And as you can tell, he's not really afraid of us. Running around, looking for food. Let's see what he finds this night. And tomorrow the mouse traps will be set. So we will see.
I guess it will be tough in isolation to have no contact to my friends and families, particularly because I became a father like 2.5 months ago. So I have a young son at home. Already I've been getting like video messages, and that's really enjoyable to see them. And that's also what it will be like eventually on Mars, because there's a time delay, so you won't be able to communicate directly, but you will be able to relay video messages. So that way I'm still part of the things that are happening back home.
So right now it still feels okay. I've been away for a week on end several times already, so I think they are used to it. And we will see how 4 weeks or how it will be after 4 weeks. That's a long time, but I'm too busy to miss them much, I guess. But in the evening, when everything quiets down a little bit more, then you think about each other. So yeah, we will see.
It's particularly harder when you do have small children that you need to step away from, and it's a sacrifice in a way that you make, but knowingly. So you are willing to take that sacrifice. You will miss out on some of the special days of your kids, and it's a pity because, of course, you want to see them grow. You want to see how they develop, maybe the first steps, the first words, and maybe you might miss one of those special moments. And it's really, let's say, the downside of this kind of things. But I think all of us here, we take this decision personally, on a personal level, to see that it does make sense. It is a sacrifice that we are willing to make, and at least for me personally, I discussed with my wife, of course, before making such a decision, such a commitment for these kind of missions, and it's a decision that we make together, and it's really important to have that family support, because if you're making that decision just one-sided, you really will have issues in the future, and it's really important to have that family support, that bond that really makes us, that allows us to have this kind of missions. And for Alon, for Thomas, and for myself, of course, we're going to miss our kids. It's the same also for Annika. I think most of us have kids, and we're going to miss them. We're going to miss our partners as well. But it's something that we think it's worth doing. We're making an important contribution for the future, a right step in the direction of Mars, and we think it's worth having that sacrifice, that personal sacrifice for the bigger goal. Tomorrow is going to be our black day. That means it's going to be our day off, so there's no experiments planned, there's no activities planned, and unfortunately we cannot really go outside. As great as it looks, we cannot really go for a hike or anything like that. That's the mission. We need to stay in the habitat. So we need to find things here to do, to keep us entertained, to relax a bit, and the last days have been pretty busy, so I'm sure everyone will be appreciating this opportunity to relax a bit. And some of us like to read, some of us like to watch movies. For me, I like to catch up with family as well, maybe record some videos, write some emails to them, show them what we've been doing here, what kind of experiments, what we've accomplished so far. But also I like to hear about them, what has been happening on their side, any new things that came up, any nice novelties. So that's really what I enjoy doing. I also try to do some sports if I can. And then something we try to do as a team as well is maybe play some board games or watch some movies, what we call movie night. So that's always a lot of fun. And that's usually what we try to do here on our days off. So there are many things to manage as a crew, and some of them are internal to the hab, like who gets the last piece of chocolate, for example. And it might sound simple, but it is a potential for conflict. And these small things might add up. And if you're not careful, if you're not monitoring and also openly talking about these conflicts or these things that maybe annoy you, it's going to be a bigger problem throughout the mission. So that's really something important that you need to keep an eye out. And even these small things like who gets the top bunk, who gets the bottom bank, these things take a big importance when you're isolated, when all you have is your crew and you need to interact with these people for the whole mission. There's no one else around. You need to be able to work well with these people, and these small things add up, and those are the things that you really need to be aware of. Of course, if there's bigger issues, if there is, let's say, an emergency, really somebody getting hurt, that's really the most critical, and that's what we train the most for. But hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it would happen, that will be my responsibility to handle it, to make the decision of how we go ahead and proceed from that point, how we handle that emergency, and make the right decisions.
If you're wondering what the desert sounds like at night, of course we're not outside, so we can't say if there's any crickets or anything else that you could listen to. But what we can say is that there's a lot of wind, especially once the sun goes down. And the top, that is our roof, is making a lot of noise. It's like camping. And also the air condition / heating is on. So there's a lot of technical noises and wind noises, and also beeping from batteries. So the desert for us does not sound like a desert, I guess.
So the nights are okay, but only if you have the earplugs in and the shades because everything is still, light comes in and every step in the hub still makes noise and creaking. So it is still alive in a sense during the night, and we had some noises coming from pumps and stuff. So it's a different environment. It's not like my bedroom at home. Yeah.
Another important feature of the drone is that it's VTOL, so like the drone is capable to take off and landing vertically. The VTOL capability allow him to basically land and take off everywhere, from everywhere, like in a very narrow spaces, and also has the capability to change attitude during flight. So for example, we want some specific photos of a specific area, the drone can stop in mid-air like an helicopter does and continue taking photos. No, I learned to not to worry, because if I'm confident of the work that we did, and of course every time when you start doing that, you are always worried that something can go wrong, and most of the time everything that can go wrong, especially at start. As I said, this is already like the third test campaign of the drone.
Where is it now?
I think that I've seen it
over there, going almost on the edge of the mountain.
Very good work, X-ray. So let's go to the next point. B13. Cover the solar radiation shield and sensor with logs on the area around. So as I understood, you already did this step.
Yes, copy that.
Because you already knew.
I did. I read the procedures before.
Very good. Thank you for your support, Sayos.
Thank you, Sarah.
And X-ray Sierra, with that you can return to base.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Standby one, X-ray. Can you repeat the first coordinate? If I believe that from what I see, the location in the map, it seems a bit 50 meters maybe from the point. I am ready for location confirmation. You can read out your GPS.
I mean, both of us know all the questions, how does it feel to be the only woman and stuff like that. So of course we are happy to be role models and to tell or show others that it's possible to do stuff like this. And but other than that, I think for us it's not a big deal. It's a big deal for everybody else, more like for us, more than for us.
I think it's an amazing feeling when you're wearing the spacesuit simulator and you're walking over a desert ground or permafrost ground on a glacier, because it feels as if you really are wearing your own space rocket, basically, you know. And it's really quite loud. You have the ventilation in the background, you have the radios on, so you don't really hear outside noises at all. And also the view is very different because it's a bit of a fishbowl effect, so it's a bit distorted, and so you really feel as if you're in a different world. And then, of course, there's the weight, which is around 50 kilo, which is a bit challenging, which I have to say is always my biggest challenge during the missions. And you're wearing like an exoskeleton, which increases the weight or the load of everything. And so it's simulating as if you're wearing a pressure suit, as we know from the ISS, for example, the big white suits. It's because of the pressure, and that is what we're simulating. So really, when you move your arms, everything gets a lot heavier. It's as if you're if you would drink a coffee, which you don't. It would be as if it's like weighing 5 kilo, for example, and that you feel.
Want to take part 1 or 2?
You can just stay the same, no?
Okay, so this one is mine. We drive to the tripod first and then to the aircraft. Right? Okay. You follow me?
I will follow you.
Okay, copy.
So what we do here is bring them together and making it clear to them that what we're doing here is bigger than themselves. It is ultimately preparing the grandest journey of our society yet to happen. And so I always hold this with this quote from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the author of Little Prince, who said, when you want to build a ship, do not only teach the people how to put together the planks of wood, but also make them long for the ocean. And this is what our people feel here. They see that they are not only getting a sneak preview of the future, but are actively contributing to it. For me personally, when my day starts, it's like opening a book with blank pages and writing the next chapter. So we are very confident. So whatever the way to Mars looks like in 20, 30 years from now, some of it will be written by us.
From here the antennas looks pretty good. The power box is intact. I'm starting with checking all the cables. And I can see that one of the plugs is a little bit loose, so I'm going to fasten it again.
Copy X-ray. Just note Wi-Fi is priority. We cannot have the experiment without it being set up. So take your time to make sure everything is in place before setting it up.
Copy, Wilco.
What are you looking forward to when you get home?
Several things. I think I really look forward to a long run in the mild or even cold autumn air, not in the desert, and being able to move and have open spaces again. And I guess I also look forward to sleeping in, having some private space and seeing all my friends and family, of course. But other than that, I think I didn't really miss so much because it was a really great time. And yeah, spending this time with this group of people was really special. Yeah, so that's it.
So AMAZE is basically about, in general, as AMAZE basically states, autonomous Mars analog zone exploration. So basically the idea is that the astronaut that arrived on Mars brings out the helicopter in front of the habitat, and the helicopter explores the region autonomously. The purpose for this is that basically the helicopter has a bigger range as an astronaut as he can cover in his suit. So it's a very heavy suit. So the helicopter can basically cover a bigger area. And when the helicopter comes back with the data that it recorded, so the imagery of the grounds, the people in the habitat can decide which areas that the helicopter just explored are of interest to them, and they might send the rover or actually an astronaut to this position. So it's basically doing a little bit of scouting and making the whole process much more efficient.
The way it works, you can think an analogy like a human. So a human can perceive the movement with the brain, with the body, can feel the G acceleration, and that's the inertial measurement unit. And for a human, a camera is the eyes. With only the inertial measurement unit, the helicopter is not able to navigate, because if you think like yourself, you close the eyes, you walk a square, it's harder to get back to the point where you start, because at some point you lose orientation.
So Professor Stefan Weiss, who's leading our institute, the Control of Network Systems group, he was at JPL for 3 years, and he's one of the people who gave the idea or the technology to actually make something like Ingenuity possible. So in his thesis, he basically explored visual inertial odometry by itself. And then the story is basically that the director of JPL saw this in a demonstration and said, why don't we put this on Mars? And this is roughly 8 years ago. And Professor Weiss now is at the University of Klagenfurt doing this topic still. But the team at JPL also continued working on this. And we have actually regular updates between each other to update us on the topics.
Yes, we have takeoff!
So since Mars doesn't have GPS, you don't have accurate ground truth. So this is something that you could build up there in a couple of minutes and fly the helicopter there and basically have ground truth with the actual Mars environment. I mean, definitely flying the helicopter directly and testing out if the visual inertial odometry works over there was done by Ingenuity. So we can only make it more efficient for the future.
We had takeoff, but not a successful landing. Hopefully a lesson has been learned here and we'll do better next time. It was great fun. Thank you.
Technology readiness level, that's important, and this is from NASA. There are different levels of knowing whether technology will work. Starting with 1, the idea, up to 9, we are sure that it will work in space or on the surface of Mars. There are different technologies on different levels currently. We are roughly at level 5 for Mars technology. So there is still a lot of things to do to make them on level 9, knowing that it will even work on Mars. And this is why we cannot travel now. If I would travel today, I know I had only less than 10% chance of coming back. And this is the reason I always say no. Let's wait a couple of years, about 10 years, 15 years. So we have the level 9, knowing technology will work. And then the possibility or probability that I'm coming back is 90%. We will never have 100%, but 90% is fine. And if I know it's 90%, yes, I would go. And ask my wife, because she knows that I'm there for 2.5 years, I'm leaving home, I'm leaving my family, and they have to agree. So I cannot do it by my own. I have to tell them, the chances are 90%, but not 100%. I'm not with you for 2.5 years. It's important, believe me.
Just now the OBS symbol came up again, starting up.
Yeah, so logs, the helmet display died. I just restarted it, so
So we expect to find, well, science additional values, but also operational values to how to operate drones, rovers, and how the human body and human spirit are reacting when isolated and far from Earth, so to say, or from civilization.
First rehearsal scheduled time. We're even more trying to make sure that our results are out there and we can contribute to the scientific community, be it NASA, be it JPL. There is no name, no specific point of. We are delivering it to you. We want to deliver it to everyone, so everyone can just take our results and further develop it.
We're here with the crew of AMADEE-20 and just doing a new tradition of hanging our AMADEE patch at the end of the mission. So today is our last night here in the habitat. It's been a great month here, many accomplishments, and we want to take the chance of this video to also think of all the people that made the mission possible. So our mission support center in Innsbruck, all the teams around the world, our on-site support team here working tirelessly. And I don't know if you want to add something, but just a big thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now.
People tell a lot of things about space, and once you're there, things are so much different. And you know, experience is a very personal thing. You know, seeing the color of green is something very personal, and green is something a different person experiences differently by emotions, for example. So when someone is standing on Mars, he may experience that totally different than I don't know. I would say, well, I would be surprised about the less gravity up there. But you know what, weightlessness, I experience weightlessness, which is even more impressive. Actually, I don't know. I think I would say, thank God that I did it to here. I think that's what I would say.
So that's the same.
Thank you.